TAG TV brings you daily news bulletin from India.
Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Uzma Jafri. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 26th of February. Indian traders observe nationwide strike against GST amendments, fuel price hike. FATF keeps Pakistan in grey list, cites serious deficiency in checking terror financing. And MasterChef UK runner-up gets warm welcome back home in Nepal. And now for all the details. Trade and transport unions on Friday observed a nationwide strike in India to protest the recent amendments to goods and services tax rules, e-way bill and the rising fuel prices. Commercial markets in parts of the country remained shut and private transport was hit.
Trade and transport unions on Friday observed a nationwide strike to protest the fuel price hike and amendments to GST, the goods and services tax rules, demanding a review of the GST system and simplification of the tax slabs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government had launched the GST in 2017 and replaced more than a dozen federal and state levies, unifying a 2 trillion economy into one of the world's biggest common markets. However, the regime continues to face a lot of criticism since then, for reasons including increase in compliance burden.
जीएसटी की कर प्रणाली को चुस्त दुरुस्त करना होगा, सरल करना होगा, जिससे आम व्यापारी भी जीएसटी की कर पालना अच्छे तरीके से कर सके। जिस तरीके से मौलिक अधिकारों का हनन करके व्यापारियों को अधिकारियों को जो अधिकार दिए गए हैं वो वास्तव में चिंता का विषय है और निश्चित रूप से जीएसटी को इतना कठिन बना दिया है।
Commercial markets remained shut in parts of India on Friday as part of the nationwide strike, and transporters also joined the protest against fuel price rise as petrol prices have breached the century mark in parts of the country. They also demanded scrapping of the e-way bill laws. The e-way bill is the permit that transporters have to carry while moving goods from one place to another. The recent amendments in the GST laws has narrowed the validity of the e-way bill by increasing distance from 100 km to 200 km per day.
In a first, after the respective military forces completed disengagement in Pangong Tso area at the line of actual control last week, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar had telephonic conversation with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on Thursday. Both parties discussed issues related to overall India-China relations and agreed to establish a communication hotline to exchange opinions in a timely manner.
India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on Thursday and reviewed the status of disengagement along the LAC line of actual control in Ladakh. Both the leaders discussed the implementation of Moscow Agreement and reviewed the status of disengagement, Jaishankar said in a tweet. A 5-point agreement was reached between Jaishankar and Wang Yi at a meeting in Moscow in September last year on the sidelines of a Shanghai Cooperation Organization conclave. In a statement on Friday, India's Foreign Ministry said Jaishankar noted the completion of disengagement in the Pangong Lake area and emphasized that both sides should now quickly resolve the remaining issues along the LAC in eastern Ladakh. Once disengagement is completed at all friction points, then the two sides could also look at broader de-escalation of troops in the area and work towards the restoration of peace and tranquility, it added. Wang Yi on his part expressed satisfaction at the progress made so far. The two ministers agreed to remain in touch and establish a hotline. Armies of India and China, which has been locked in a standoff in eastern Ladakh since May, concluded the withdrawal of troops and weapons from the north and south banks of Pangong Tso in the high-altitude region last week. Discussions are currently underway between the Asian giants for resolution of the standoff at other friction points.
Pakistan was retained in the grey list of Financial Action Task Force, which examined its efforts to counter terror financing and money laundering during a meeting on Thursday. The anti-terrorism watchdog had last year asked Pakistan to deliver on a 27-point action plan to combat terrorism by February.
The International Anti-Terrorism Watchdog Financial Action Task Force or FATF has decided to retain Pakistan on its grey list till June for its failure to fully comply with the 27-point action plan to combat terrorism. The decision was taken at a meeting of the multilateral watchdog on Thursday. The 3 points on which the FATF has sought urgent action by Pakistan pertain to effective steps in the terms of financial sanctions and penalties against the terror funding infrastructure and the entities involved. FATF assesses the strength of a country's anti-money laundering and anti-terror financing frameworks. In Pakistan's case, FATF has taken cognizance of the inaction against several banned organizations involved in raising funds for terror activities and those linked to global terrorists like Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar and Lashkar-e-Taiba's Hafiz Saeed. On several occasions, neighboring India has also raised the involvement of elements within Pakistan in a number of terror cases, including the 26/11 Mumbai and Pulwama attacks.
Moving on. Residents in Pakistan's Karachi city have blamed rampant corruption and failed government policies for the widening inflation that has left the country's economy in downward spiral. They said frequent hike in prices of food items and fuel have squeezed household budgets and government is only doing lip service.
Residents in Pakistan's Karachi city have expressed dismay over rising inflation and unemployment in the country, blaming lack of effective government policies to tackle the ongoing economic crisis. They said the sharp price rise of food items, fuel and transport costs have squeezed household budgets and government is only doing lip service. They accused the establishment of being apathetic towards their plight while making tall claims of bringing prosperity.
कोविड की वजह से, कोरोना की वजह से पहले ही हम मुतासिर हुए। हमारा एक बहुत बड़ा तबका जो है रोज़गार से महरूम हो गया, बेरोज़गार हो गया और किसी भी सूरत में उनकी कोई अभी तक पोजीशन नज़र नहीं आ रही है। एहसास प्रोग्राम के नाम पर जो है कुछ न कुछ मदावा करने की कोशिश की गई, लेकिन वो भी हकदारों तक कब पहुँचता है, इस मुल्क का सिस्टम ही कुछ ऐसा बना हुआ है। तो सोचने की बात सारी है कि बजाय इसके कि हम लोगों को मछली खिलाएं, उन्हें मछली पकड़ना सिखाएं, लेकिन मौजूदा हुकूमत की इस वक्त तक अभी तक कोई पॉलिसी वाज़े नहीं है कि महंगाई को रोकने के लिए या महंगाई का सदेबाब करने के लिए।
Meanwhile, PDM, the Pakistan Democratic Movement, an 11-party opposition alliance, has also intensified its campaign demanding resignation of Prime Minister Imran Khan over high inflation and negative growth. The PDM announced this week its anti-government protest rally to be held next month will be called Inflation March.
Attention has turned back to Doha and hopes have been renewed that the talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban will resume, as according to members of the Republic side, the Taliban in a recent meeting showed a good spirit. This comes after a meeting was held between heads and some members of the negotiating teams in Doha earlier this week that was focused on the continuation of the negotiations.
At a time when hopes have been renewed that talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban will resume, a member of the Republic side in Doha, Ghulam Farooq Majroh, has said the Taliban in a recent meeting showed a good spirit. Majroh said the Taliban came with a good spirit this time and we hope it remains the same because they expressed a commitment for the talks to continue on a daily basis. This comes after a meeting was held between heads and some members of the negotiating teams from both sides in Doha on Monday evening that was focused on the continuation of the negotiations. However, no new meeting has been held between two sides since Monday. Negotiators from the Afghan government side hope that an agreement will be reached with the Taliban soon about the agenda of the peace talks. The Taliban continue to insist on the withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan, but experts have warned about a hasty pullout.
In news from Sri Lanka, The Sri Lankan government has lifted a controversial ban on the burial of bodies of people whose deaths were caused by the COVID-19 disease, a health ministry spokesman said. The ban was lifted on Friday after months of protests, mainly by Muslim groups and international pressure. Sri Lanka's health ministry issued the extraordinary gazette notification amending the regulations of the Quarantine and Prevention of Disease Ordinance to allow cremation or burial of the corpse. In March last year, the government imposed regulations that said the bodies of COVID-19 victims could only be cremated and that the burial of the coronavirus victims could lead to the virus spread. However, the World Health Organization stressed that cremation is a matter of cultural choice. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan took to Twitter to thank the Sri Lankan leadership for finally allowing the burial of Muslim COVID-19 victims. Khan was on a two-day visit to Sri Lanka and discussed future strategies with Sri Lankan president and government officials. Nepali chef Santosh Shah, the runner-up of the MasterChef UK, the professionals, received a warm welcome upon his arrival in his home country on Thursday. Impressing judges with his culinary arts that managed to be authentic yet modern, Shah became an icon for many around the globe as well as in his homeland.
In an emotional moment, Nepal's Santosh Shah, runner-up of BBC MasterChef UK The Professionals, wiped his tears off as he arrived in his home country on Thursday. Dozens of fellow chefs, admirers and onlookers welcomed Shah with garlands of flowers, along with a wagon of cooked foods and rhododendron, the national flower of Nepal. The first Nepali chef to reach the finale of MasterChef UK last season, Shah impressed judges with his culinary arts that managed to be authentic yet modern. 35-year-old Santosh soon became an icon for many around the globe as well as in his homeland.
Thank you. अनि हाम्रो सेफ जगतमा यस्तै भइराखोस् के सबै हाम्रो साथीभाइहरुलाई र हाम्रो कन्ट्रीमा सेफ नै पैदा गरोस् के नेपाल आमाले भनेर हाम्रो चाहना.
After achieving the height on an international arena, Shah announced that he has many more plans in the pipeline, from a food map to a book on traditional cuisines. In his professional journey, which now stretched over 20 years, Shah has worked with Michelin-starred chef Atul Kochhar and also as executive chef at the Lalit, London. Shah currently is the head chef at Cinnamon Kitchen in London.
A man in a village in India's eastern Bihar state has built several nests using earthen pots and converted space in his house as a natural habitat for birds, especially sparrows. He has also installed CCTV cameras to ensure their safety. Have a look.
A man in Gaya district of India's eastern Bihar state has found a unique way to show his love for birds. Tanzil-ur-Rahman Khan, a resident of Niskha village in Gaya, has built several nests for birds, especially sparrows, in his house using earthen pots and has converted it into a natural habitat for them in a span of around 10 years. The artificial nests have proved as good as natural nests in providing secure resting places for the birds, of whom Khan take care of all food and medical requirements. He has also installed CCTV cameras to keep an eye to ensure their safety.
हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं कि जो प्राकृतिक तरीका है, जो प्राकृतिक तरीके से उन लोग रहती है, उसमें उनकी मदद करते हैं. उनके रहने का इंतज़ाम, उनके खाने का इंतज़ाम, उनके पानी का इंतज़ाम करते हैं. उनकी सिक्योरिटी है, सिक्योरिटी के लिए हम लोग देखभाल करते हैं उनकी. यहाँ पर गुलेल, एयरगन ये सब बिल्कुल नहीं चलाने देते हैं. और जो हम घड़ा लगाए हुए हैं, लबनी जिसको बोलते हैं आप, उस पर CCTV भी लगाए हुए हैं.
Khan said after witnessing dwindling numbers of birds in his village due to felling of trees and environmental changes, the idea of conserving and protecting them came to his mind.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Subscribe Tag TV YouTube channel and press the notification button. Subscribe Tag TV YouTube channel and press the notification button.